fantastic things happen. And he immediately clicked.
When Ilya mentioned it, I started reading all the stuff about. And I believed it could be very good as a major film, if it will be done right.
With a story by Mario Puzo, the author of The Godfather, and Marlon Brando cast as Jor-El, things began to take shape. Only one problem remained: find an actor to play Superman.
I thought it should be an unknown at the beginning. Now, they all started working on me, and the commercial side said we need a star. After we had Puzo and the director, we need a star. So the movie really goes right to the top. And there's a moment where you weaken, and I said, well, you might be right. So we started looking for stars. And thank God, Redford turned it down.
Dozens of stars and hundreds of unknowns were tested, and none of them were right. They kept coming back to a young man they'd seen earlier in their search, Christopher Reeve. At first, they'd considered him too young and maybe even too skinny, but his mature calm made a continuing impact.
I wore a big, bulky blue sweater because I thought, oh my God, I've got to look stronger, and I knew I was skinny. I'd been sitting around, hadn't been exercising. I mean, I get out and play tennis and stuff, but I don't in any way do body stuff. So I got the biggest Shetland sweater I could find up in my attic and went to this audition with it and sat there sort of trying to look bigger, and everything like that. And it was Ilya Salkind and Dick Donner who were the directors. And all they did, they put a pair of glasses on me, and they sort of looked at me. And we talked about New York and blah, 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 and nothing in particular, and I left.
He got the part. But the problem remained: he was too slim. A padded uniform was prepared for him. But Christopher Reeve was determined to build up his own physique for real.
The point is that when I started, I was a string bean, and Superman's not a string bean. So already, on this diet, I eat 4 times a day. I tell you, I'm on a high meat diet, protein diet, vitamin pills, nothing like steroids or anything like that. But, I mean, I get to eat as much of as anything that I want, and it's great, The thing is that on this part particularly, you have to start from the outside and work in. You can do all the interior work you want to do, and it's not going to get you to Superman if you don't have the physical strength to go with it. The thing that happens is that the stronger I get, and I'm still not all that strong, but I'm getting there. The stronger I get, the more it helps my mental attitude towards the part. What sets Superman apart is that he has the wisdom to use his power for good. He has all these powers, but he's got the kind of maturity, or he's got the innocence, really, to look at the world very, very simply. And that's what makes him so different. When he says, I'm here to fight for truth, justice, and the American way, everybody goes, but he's not kidding.
While Superman was getting into shape, so was everything else. The 2 biggest studios in Britain, housing hundreds of skilled technicians, brought in from all over the world, sprung into action. They faced one of their greatest motion picture challenges ever. Artists had been working for months on drawings that tried to capture this fantastic tale. From the drawings, sets were built so camera angles could be plotted and lighting schemes planned. The actual sets were built by more than 350 construction workers. Most of the sets had to be life-size, employing materials and techniques never used before. In some cases, elaborate models had to be built and had to match perfectly with the life-size sets. All manners of film wizardry were used. Precise lenses with automatic zooms were created. Special camera cranes were built, enabling the model to be photographed from any angle. Camera movement, dramatic lighting, miniature explosions, and breakaway sets were all linked together to electronic consoles, giving it all push-button control from a single vantage point. The whole operation took place under the guiding hand of John Barry, the man who designed Star Wars.
Well, Star Wars is much grittier sort of story. Whereas Superman has a much more poetic element, doesn't it? I mean, there he is in a red cloak and a blue suit and red boots. So it is already much more of a fantasy.
Krypton was the key challenge artistically for the film. In effect, a new society with a unique environment had to be created. The concept of a world of crystal was conceived to everyone's satisfaction. Crystals are both natural and technological, with a special organic quality that suggests they could grow rather than be manufactured.
This is the biggest film stage in the world, and over the next 10 weeks, about 100 people are going to turn it into a magical part of the Arctic where Superman's Fortress of Solitude is. Where I'm standing now will be the sea, a lot of pack ice.
But soon, all the planning and building must end, and the actors take over. Then the pictures become flesh, and there's magic in the air.
My friends, you know me to be neither rash nor impulsive. I'm not given to wild, unsupported statements. And I tell you that we must evacuate this planet immediately.
Marlon Brando, for many, the greatest screen actor in the world.
You know, when I first came on the picture and I heard how much money Marlon Brando was paid for it, I was really upset because I don't think it seemed like much more money than anybody is worth. But then working with him and seeing him on film, to me, he's underpaid.
Everything has a price in the marketplace, and so do cars, so do hula hoops, so do useless endeavors, and I don't suppose that actors are any different than rock bands that inflate balloons from their ears, and that happens to catch on. It's what people want to buy.
Marlon Brando has an unpleasant duty on the planet Krypton. Before the unearthly faces of his fellow judges, he sentences 3 ruthless villains, Ursa, Non, and General Zod, to an eternal living death.
Specific charges listed herein against these individuals, their acts of treason and ultimate aim of sedition. These are matters of undeniable fact.
Although his speeches are quite short, Brando prefers not to memorize them, but to have them written on large cards called cue cards. It's the way he prefers to work.
There's nothing more boring than a director who directs an actor to go to the door and stop and then turn around and say, "Martha, goodbye." You know that's going to come. So, if you don't know what the words are, but you have a general idea of what they are, then you look at the cue card. It gives you the feeling as the viewer, hopefully, that the person